Hello, and welcome to One Cool Thing, PC Mag's daily show where we talk to you about one cool thing that we've been testing out here in PC Labs. I'm Tom Brandt, this is Matt Buzzy, and today for you we have got the Razer Blade Pro, except there's a catch with this one. It's not the Razer Blade Pro that you might think it is.
Not the one you know and love. It's the GTX 1060 bearing cheaper version. Cheaper version, I use that relatively speaking. It's a $2,300 configuration as opposed to the $4,000 configuration that this laptop normally is. Not cheap, Tom.
Right, not cheap.
Not
no,
cheap.
It is a Razer after all. And what we want to know is, would you prefer the GTX 1060 version over the $4,000 version of the original Razer Blade Pro with the GTX 1080? We would like you to ask us your questions about that or anything else related to the Razer Blade Pro, any laptops, desktops, really anything that you want to ask us. We would be happy to try to answer that for you. Put your questions in the comments. And in the meantime, we're going to tell you a little bit more about the differences between the 1080 version and the 1060 version.
Yes, of which there are several.
Yeah, and it's the inside and a bit of the outside.
A bit of the outside, yeah. So looking at it at a glance, you could be forgiven for not knowing it's any different. It is a little lighter. It's 6.78 pounds, which for a 17-inch laptop is maybe the lightest one.
That's pretty good.
It's barely an inch thick. So the other thing you'll probably notice is the display difference. The $4,000 version has a 4K touchscreen. This is a 1080p non-touchscreen, so that's probably, besides the graphics card, probably the biggest concession. Arguably the bigger concession visually. I'll get to that.
And it's also glossy on the other one too.
Yeah, so the other one, this one has the matte finish. It is 120
Yeah.
hertz, so it's 1080p, 120 hertz, which is good for gaming. It's a smart choice given the 1060 because you're going to tone it down, so it's not going to do 4K, it's not going to do QHD.
Yeah.
It's only going to do 1080p, so that's a good way to cut costs. It has the matte finish though, so it's a little duller. The 4K version is like one of the best screens I've seen. It pops, it's really colorful and bright. This one's good, but not quite as vibrant, so that's kind of like, they cut what, like $1,600? I can't do math, off the price?
Yeah.
So like it has to come from somewhere.
Right. And also, a lot of people would think that a 1080p screen really is fine for most gaming on a laptop. I mean, a 4K display is great if you have the graphics card that can power it, but
even a 1080 isn't really that card.
You're right, exactly.
So you're kind of like 4K can be useful for media. You can have it for other reasons. You can have it for media streaming. You can have it for media creation. You can do some gaming on it. Older games will run. It can get 30 frames. It's not like terrible, but you're not getting 60 with the 1080.
Right.
So there are some concessions there. It makes sense that they included this cheaper screen. Moving on to some other differences. So the GTX 1060, obviously the graphics card difference, that's 2 steps down, but it's a perfect card for 1080p gaming.
Sure.
Like it's fine. It's perfectly fine. You're gonna get more than 60 frames on any new game. You might, on the most demanding games, maybe have to tune a couple settings down, but it's a good fit.
Now, what do you mean by good? Like, what's the frame rate that people should expect when they're playing ultra quality?
You're hoping for 60.
60. Okay.
Yeah, you're hoping for 60 frames, but you're not going to get that out of most systems. Obviously, non-discrete graphic systems don't even do 30, so it's either 30 or 60 is what you're shooting for, and you don't want it to be jumping up and down in between because that's when you notice a difference because that's when it looks choppy. So 60 frames, that's the smoothest sort of animation refresh rate situation with 120 hertz that you can get. So good selection for that overall.
Okay.
Other differences. This has actually a lot of storage, a 256 gig SSD and a 2 terabyte hard drive. So the other one was a little light on storage, the 4K version, honestly, which is disappointing because it's so expensive. This having so much room to put your games and other stuff on that's pretty good.
Right, and that's actually like better or equal to or better than many gaming desktops that we looked at. I mean, we're looking at an HP Omen right now that has a 2 terabyte hard drive and a 256 gigabyte solid state drive. So that's really
matching that's pretty good.
Putting all that in a laptop is pretty good.
Yeah. Other differences include the keyboard. So it does still have the per key backlighting. I hope that's showing up. You can do the effects, you can change, every key can be different. The touchpad, which on this system, because of its size and it has the room, it's moved over to the right, which at first you kind of like keep tapping this and forgetting that.
Yeah, it's weird because
but you adjust.
If you're not looking at the system, you're like, well, there's a bunch of blank space right here. Why isn't the cursor moving?
I kept like palming this a couple times, but you get used to it and you actually kind of come to like it. I kind of like it a little better. And this volume scroll bar, which I can't live without now.
Yeah, that's something that we've seen on a few gaming keyboards, but it's really nice to have it built in there.
It's pretty good. So the keys aren't mechanical in this one. Is the difference?
Okay.
The the 4K main version, they are, but it is still a good keyboard. It feels comfortable to type on, so it's not like they put a crappy keyboard in there.
I mean, you do have to make concessions to put mechanical switches in a really thin laptop like this, and so I almost kind of, not prefer, but I think that these are a nice feel for the very limited times that you're going to be, using it for gaming. I mean, if you're at home, hopefully you have a keyboard and a mouse that's separate.
Right.
So.
Other than that, the battery life is much longer because 4K screens drain a lot of power. The other one lasted 3 hours with the 4K screen. This one said 7, which again for a 17-inch gaming laptop is very good, as is its size. So that gives you, not that you're going to take a machine this big, it is still big even though it's thin.
Sure.
You want to take it on the road with you? I don't know. It's not going to be your daily commute machine, I wouldn't think, but it's portable enough and can actually last you that if you do take it with you somewhere and take it out on a train or whatever, it's not going to die on you right away. If you're using it in an airport without, it's going to last.
Yeah. So let's continue on with some ports and things like that. But before we get to that, do we have any questions out there?
Why doesn't Razer put any touch bar or track points on their laptops?
What was that?
Oh, talking about eye tracking or touch? What? Oh, touch.
Yeah, I think they're making a joke about like Apple's.
Oh, the touch bar.
bar.
That's what I thought you meant. I was like,
Lenovo's track point.
I was like, surely not. Okay, so yes, I do want the red Lenovo eraser, and I do want the touch bar because they don't have the touch screen on this version.
I mean, like the thing is, if you have a lot of real estate to play with, why not just go and put everything in it?
Just put every other feature on there. Yeah, the touch bar right here because there's no touch screen, and the Lenovo trackpad. I think that's the best of all worlds, really.
So this is not a touch screen, right?
Yeah, this is not. That is another.
The 4K display on the most expensive version is a touch screen.
Yeah.
But really, for gaming, you're not going to be touching the screen very much.
No.
Right? I mean, there's not going to be a lot of need for that touchscreen. On the other hand, it is nice. That's one of the advantages of a Windows laptop is that it is touch compatible.
Right. So, but I think I made the point in my review that the Blade Pro, as it is the expensive one, is not just a gaming system. They kind of pitched it towards creative types and designers and other things like that. This does a little less of that just because it's lacking some of the same features, like the super high color matching spectrum on that display. And a couple of the things like that are missing here, and the lower graphics card. So like it's not as much of like a media powerhouse as it could be. More gaming focused than the other one. You have another question.
Why would you buy this over desktop outside of portability?
Yeah, I mean that's the main reason, because in this case it's not a like save money situation. Laptops component wise are usually more expensive.
Yeah, and that's always been true, and it's probably gonna be true for a long time.
To miniaturize things, it's more expensive to do.
Right.
Portability is the reason. If you intend to take it anywhere, even if it's just on your bed or in your living room or whatever, not being tied to your desk is a thing that is a valuable thing.
If you don't have if you live in a small house and you don't want a giant gaming rig, it used to be that you really were giving up a ton of power by moving to a gaming laptop. Now, with this, and Razer has kind of been at the vanguard of that, but there are other manufacturers that are making really powerful, full-powered 10 series gaming laptops in this nice package. So it's all about portability, really.
Yeah, it is. And so at that point, I think, so as to make the final, like sort of the final judgment on if this was a good alternative to the main one, to the main Razer Blade Pro, it's the same. The idea is the same nice build as the other one.
It looks very nice.
Yeah,
there are very few laptops that look better than this. Gaming laptops.
Yeah. It's well built. Core i7, 16 gigs. It's fast. It's good. It's gonna perform for you. You do get the nice build. They accomplish that goal, keeping the nice build.
Sure.
You are paying a premium for the nice build and the thin size, so it's easier to do when you're getting a GTX 1080, but if you're getting a system with a 1060 in it and you're paying $2,300, it might be a hard pill to swallow for some people, because we've tested laptops $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 that have a 1060 in them. So you're paying $400 or $500 extra for a GTX 1080, for a 1060 rather.
You're getting a lot of other things with it as well.
Yeah,
but
you're
if
getting
you
the
just
features,
want the gaming power.
If you're on it's the stretching the end of the mid-range budget just to get a 1060, where normally that's definitely 1070 range, which yes is really still also only good for 1080p high-end gaming, but it'll give you those extra frames, it'll give you extra headroom for the future. It'll not have to have those concessions where you have to lower some settings in some games. So there is a little bit of like is this really a good value for the graphics card? You could debate that for sure. If you do have the extra money to spend and you want the nice build, which is the appeal. go for it.
So if you're just joining us, we gave away kind of our, ultimate bottom line on this laptop, which is it's very expensive for the components that it is, but it looks great. Let's take some more questions.
Yes.
Does it have HDR10 and Dolby Atmos support? And what about OLED?
What was the first one?
HDR10, Dolby.
Dolby, I don't think any of those, no.
No, basically those are really only, so HDR and Dolby Vision, Dolby Vision are the two kind of competing HDR standards. It's very rare to see HDR on a laptop at all. Those are mostly limited to TVs right now. You can watch some HDR content on Netflix, Amazon Video, but
you find those in TVs or like gaming monitors specifically.
Yeah, monitors have those, but yeah, you're gonna have to buy an external display if you want HDR.
Yeah. And to that point, you did mention ports earlier. We never actually got around to them.
Oh, right.
USB-C with Thunderbolt 3, USB SD. We have HDMI, so you can get external displays going. Ethernet and 2 more USB ports, so pretty loaded out. Not anything crazy, but it's also not missing anything.
Right. I like that they've managed to fit a full-size Ethernet.
That is commendable. Yeah.
In this really thin, many laptops that are thin these days, we've seen with Ethernet ports actually have a little tab that extends and that will probably break, after a couple months. So that's nice to see a full-size Ethernet port. Let's take another question.
How's the sound on it?
It's pretty good. You're not going to get like booming bass out of this thing. I think it's probably fair to say, but it does the job. It's pretty loud without getting like tinny when it's at max.
I mean, when I hear just the system tones, it's fairly robust.
Yeah.
This is at max volume.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It's in my review. They're adequate at worst, and at best they can actually fill the room with pretty good sound.
Right. We should mention the full review is up at PCMag.com.
Yes.
It gets 3.5 stars.
3.5. The build is commendable. They set out what they wanted. They set out and did what they wanted to do. They took the nice build. They kept almost everything the same. They put less expensive parts in it. They did some smart concessions like a screen that's still useful for gaming and a keyboard that still feels good even though it's not mechanical. Improves battery life, more storage. So these concessions came to some sort of middle ground.
Sure.
The only con you really have to look at is saying you're getting a 1060 for $2,300 and that's over the value of one for sure.
Plain and simple, you're paying a lot for this really nice Razer build.
And that's true of all of Razer's systems.
Yep.
I think this is maybe the most egregious case of
Sure.
of overpaying, but there's a reason. There are reasons for it. You're overpaying for the card. You're not necessarily overpaying for the laptop as a whole.
Right. Let's take some more questions.
Are there any Black Friday deals for the Razer Blade lineup?
That's a good
Wouldn't
question.
we like to know?
Would we like to know? I actually think there is a deal right now on Amazon for this. It's like $300 off right now. We'll get that in there so that you can
I mean that is one difference with Razer products. They are occasionally discounted. Apple products are rarely discounted, or if they are discounted, it's like a gift. You get a gift card back.
Sure.
There
you
could
would
be some.
You would know.
Tom
is Deal Hunter coupon extraordinaire.
I do love a good deal, which is probably why I won't end up buying a Razer Blade Pro with a 1060 in it. But yeah, no, I mean we are in holiday shopping season, so.
Is there a loyalty card you can get your hands on? For...
Yeah, no, Razer actually does. They have their Razer. I remember
like the coins.
Yeah, they have coins that you can use. You can actually check out our review of that too. It's not very good. We don't recommend the Razer coin loyalty program because it's not very lucrative for you. But yeah, definitely check some deals. I mean, ultimately the value of this, if you're paying less for it, that changes our opinion of it. We think this is a great computer.
If you
can
can't
find
get that
less,
deal, if you can get the deal in it, which I believe was mentioned to me at like $300 off on Amazon, that takes it back into now hold on territory.
Right, exactly.
If you only have like $1,800, $1,700, $1,900 to spend, not over $2,000. Yeah. So if you want a big screen, laptop, there are some systems you could maybe get a 1070 out of or a 1060 for less money. But like the Acer Nitro that you reviewed that also has a 1060, it's not as nice.
So we're just looking at a $1,699 laptop, same specs really as this one. It does not look good. It looks like a big gaming laptop. The one advantage of that is it has eye tracking. I don't think Razer actually offers built-in eye tracking on the Blade Pro.
The last one I remember is on the Alienware that has the Tobii eye tracking built in.
So that's something if you actually do have a game that supports eye tracking and use it. But really, yeah. So and that's also a 15-inch version. The 17-inch version is bigger. So yeah. Any other questions?
How are the Ubuntu and Linux drivers compatibility?
I did not test them, admittedly.
Yeah, we don't actually test Linux stuff here at PC Mag because there's so many different variations of it.
Yeah. It's not sort of, we go for like the out of the box, what will the user experience, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I could test in spare time or, if you want to do a personal experiment with.
sure.
But on like the average run of testing, that's not something we're gonna like mess with because
Yeah.
most people aren't gonna mess with it. So
You can't actually order this with Linux, so it's hard to evaluate that way. Any other questions? Looks like we're good. So thanks for joining us to talk about the Razer Blade Pro 2017 version with a GTX 1060
Yes.
card in it. The full review is at PCMag.com, and we rated this 3.5 stars. Be sure to check out the whole review for more on that. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with yet another one cool thing for you. In the meantime, ask us any questions that you have on Facebook, Twitter, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.